You just say how much tax-free income you want. We tell you how much Bitcoin we need. Created a product, what I think is the best lending product in the world. The best lending product to me would be one that doesn't put my Bitcoin at risk. What happened with BlockFi, Celsius, etc., is that when you put your Bitcoin on those platforms, you lost ownership of it. Same with the money in the bank, right? The money in the bank is not your money, it's owed to you. And what happens is the legal distinction means that if they go bankrupt, like we saw with BlockFi and Celsius, that money is theirs in like a bankruptcy court. In this situation, the money is still owned by you. It's in an account that you own, a segregated account. And you can even have visibility to it, proof of reserves. On top of that, that account is insured. So even if something happens to it, there's insurance against that account. So to me, that's the best product out there. And then we'll take care of the back end where we'll make the payments for you. We'll just give you the tax-free income every year. We'll roll the debt, the whole thing. Working on hopefully another 90 days, even having it where we can prevent against liquidation. So we're working on that as well. But anyway, so that's the product. Like I said, people can do it on their own. It's not that complex. There's a book and a calculator to do it on your own. Otherwise, yeah, there's a service for it.
I'm going to have to link that down below. Because again, I think it addresses the biggest problem in the world. Nobody can retire. Everybody is on this perpetual hamster wheel, struggling to retire, which again is why I was so excited to talk to you.
Let's talk about the numbers of this really quickly.
Let's do it, yeah.
So in America, well, the whole world has this sort of the developed world has this baby boomer generation. In the United States, half of the baby boomers that are retiring right now, half of them have no savings. Half. So that's how well the Save for Retirement's worked. Half of them have no savings. Of the half that do have savings, have an average of about $240,000.
And this is, sorry to jump in, but that's America. This is the richest, most wealthiest country in the world.
Yeah. Now, other countries do have a higher savings rate than America, but yes, it's a big problem. So the half that do have money have an average of 240. Now, per, Dave Ramsey and your financial advisor, they're going to tell you that what you can do is sell 4% of your stock position every year. And at 4%, it should last you. Okay, well, number one, 4% of 240,000 is like $800 a month. So even in El Salvador, I don't know how you can live on $800 a month, right? Number one. Number two, that doesn't really work all the time. So let's say that I was retiring in 2008 when the markets crashed, and it took 7 years to get back to all-time high. Or in 2000, where the markets crashed, took 15 years to get back. So how well does it work in that environment, right? And so it doesn't really work. Number one, half doesn't have any money. Number two, like I said, the other half doesn't have enough. But let's compare this to Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, if I had, true story, one of my buddies, he's an ex-pro surfer. He's about my age. He's starting to think about retirement. He's on the back half of his career. He's not really making much money. He's got about $300,000 in stock, in a stock account, equity account. That's not going to be enough money for him to retire. That's going to be whatever, $1,000 a month. So I sat him down. I showed him the calculator. If we took a third of that, $100,000, and moved that into Bitcoin right now, you get about one Bitcoin. In 5 years from now, that should be about $1 million, which would be enough to give you $100,000 a year in perpetuity. Your other option is you can pull about $1,000 a month, or maybe $10,000 a year in perpetuity. Would you rather have $10,000 or $100,000? And only Bitcoin makes that possible. You can't retire on $10,000 a year, even in El Salvador. And so all of a sudden, it's making this accessible to everybody. That 50% that has an average of 260, they could retire.
So one Bitcoin could give you $100,000 of income a year in 5 years?
In 5 years, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's based off of it growing to $1 million in 2030. Yep. I have a whole nother video we can link down below where I break down the math of what the government projects that the debt expansion, the monetary expansion will be through 2054 for the next 30 years. And if we extrapolate that money expansion into asset prices, I've broken down the math of where I think Bitcoin will be 2030, 2040, 2050. And all of that math goes into the calculator. So you can understand the math. You can adjust the numbers as you see fit. But based off of that math, which I think honestly is pretty conservative, I think the government is going to way overshoot their debt projections. But yeah, that's where it'd be.
And I do want to come back to some 2030 and 2050 projections for the price of Bitcoin in a minute. But I don't want to close that loop of talking about what everyone gets wrong with money. And I think you said something really interesting. The wealthy people, they buy assets, but they also start businesses. Most people, I hope, would know, but you're a little bit of a serial entrepreneur. So I first want to ask you, again, how many businesses have you started? And give us the elevator pitch on your business career, so to say, because you're not just a YouTuber. You've done a lot more in the real world too.
Well, I mean, currently I own 3 businesses that are like 3 8-figure businesses. I'm an equity partner in 3 other businesses worth over $500 million, and partner in a venture fund. So a lot of businesses today. As far as how many I've started, shoot, 8 or 10 businesses that I've hit 7 figures or more. I've had 2 high value exits, both in the tech industry. So a high tech medical equipment company. I had an e-commerce company. So yeah, a bunch of different businesses and a bunch of different niches. I look at the lines between business and investing as very, very similar. Warren Buffett talks about how he never buys stocks, he buys businesses. They just happen to be public. So whether I'm investing into a business, my business, a friend's business, or a public business, I kind of look at it the same way. I have some money, I got, whatever, 300 grand or 500 grand. Should I hire a new business development manager in my business that could maybe bring me back 300 grand in revenue? Or should I go buy Tesla stock? And do I think Elon Musk can do a better job with my money, right? So I would look at it sort of the same way. But when it comes to investing, what I try to tell people is that you don't invest your way to wealth. You have to create the wealth in the business first, and then you invest the money. So a lot of people have this backwards as well, and I'm sure you see this all the time. They want to start trading Bitcoin or start trading crypto or whatever to like live off of. But I just try to remind them, like, Warren Buffett is like maybe the most famous investor of history, at least of our current time, but he didn't build his wealth investing. He created a company called Berkshire Hathaway that he went to work at every day. And Ray Dalio, largest hedge fund manager in the world, didn't make his money from investing. He started a business called Bridgewater Capital, right? So even those people who you look at as investors are actually business owners. So we need to make the wealth, create the wealth first by providing value, solving problems, and then we can invest that money.
This is another big problem with the educational system that you always call out in nearly every single one of your videos. So what's the catchline you say in your introductions?
Everything you've learned about money is wrong.
Yeah, everything. Yeah. And it's true, because everybody tells you don't start a business. They tell us that's too risky to start a business. And the same thing with the retirement. The narrative around that's completely wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Like as if investing is safer, right? I was 2 weeks ago, I was with my attorney, and his daughter's also an attorney, and she's not like really a Bitcoiner. And she was like, the thing is, I just think it's just still too risky. And I said, okay, do you own any stocks? And she said, yeah. I said, do you own any like of the Mag 7, like Apple or Nvidia or Tesla, whatever? She said, yeah. I said, so you own some Nvidia? She's like, I own a little bit of it. I'm like, what do you know about microprocessors? What do you know about the growth trajectory of microprocessors? Do you know how to design them? Do you know where the supplies come from? What about when DeepSeek just shows that they need 1/10 of the GPUs that they thought they needed? Like, how risky is that? You know nothing about that business. So like, we have all this inherent risk, and most people think for some reason it's safe just because it's more mainstream. I would say, sort of back to the business thing, the opposite, right? So a lot of times people think that like getting a job is less risky. The problem with that I've seen is that now I've learned one skill. I've gotten really good at this job, this customer service job, this administrator job, this design job, whatever. But those employers can just lay you off whenever. But now I only know this one skill applicable to that one employer. So then where do I go in the market? Versus if I start my own business and I have all these different skill sets that I've learned along the way, I can always figure out a way to deploy those into the market.
And this gets back to the question I wanted to ask you. If you were talking to someone who was 20 and wanted advice on what to do, what would you tell them?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is, number one, you have to understand value creation.
So if you guys enjoyed that short and sharp little clip of my interview with Mark, you are in luck, because the full interview is coming this week. But again, if you are like the 71% of people who watch these videos and are not subscribed to my channel, you might miss the full interview when it's dropped. Again, if you want to see it and if you want to be notified, nothing against you if you don't want to subscribe to this crazy kid's YouTube channel. But if you're not subscribed, you won't be notified. So again, press that little subscribe button down below if you want to see my upcoming interview with Mark or any of the crazy content I release here on YouTube. And with all that said, I'll see you all in the next one.